Well, good morning, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, angels and saints, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to G's Power Hour. I never had it so good, gospel and entertainment. I'm your host, G. Thanks so much for being with us. So we are doing Friday in the Garden on a Thursday, but it's okay because anytime that we can get Robert Bowden on the show, we are greatly appreciative. Robert, are you there?
How are you?
All right, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
You sound like you are terribly busy.
Um, well, yeah. you know, I retired 2 or 3 years ago, and I
Yeah,
think I'm busier. I'm busier now than I was when I was working, if that's
that's
possible.
Yeah, that's possible. My cousin says the same thing. Um he retired military, he went to Orlando Police, he retired from there. He went to be a school resource officer, retired from there. And he used to ask me, he's like, "How are you so busy?" And now he's retired, and he's like, "I've never been so busy in my life." He said, "I'm
Yeah.
busier than I was when I was working."
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah,
It's fun.
yeah. Well, people keep asking me, it's like, when are you going to retire? I'm like, retire for what? I'm
Right.
like, what's the point?
Exactly.
I mean,
Yep.
I'm either going to be retired and be busy, or unfortunately, like I've heard some people, they retire and they don't last very long after they retire. So,
Yeah. I mean, I know for the first 6 months or so, I would go shopping different places with my wife, and then I would sit down and watch TV. And then I couldn't get to sleep because I
wow.
wasn't I wasn't tired. So
Wow.
my wife was going through the computer one day and she found this job at Disney, and she thought it might be a good thing for me to do. So that's what I'm doing now. That and taking care of my grandbaby.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, they're all blessed to have you. They really are. Um, So I wanted to ask you, because we talked a little bit about it yesterday with the doctor I had on the show, but I wanted to ask you about this parasite that they've been talking about on the leaves. Have you heard about it?
No.
Oh, really? They've got it's all over the country, um, and because people are getting sick from it. It's like 34 states have it. About 7,000 people have gotten sick, something similar to um, I want to say food poisoning, but it's caused by a parasite. And um, they've been telling people not to use the cut up lettuce that you can buy, the prepackaged cut up lettuce, and
Yeah.
to wash those leaves carefully on the heads of lettuce. They said better to get it on the heads of lettuce because you really have to scrub to get it off. Yeah. So
Well, I
yeah,
haven't heard about that.
that
Another
yeah.
another good reason. Another good reason to grow your own food.
It is. It is. But no matter what, you're still gonna have to wash it carefully. You know. Um, it's
Yeah.
just getting on the lettuce and
Yeah.
all of the produce. Yeah. So I wanted to
Unfor-
ask.
unfor- Unfortunately, you can't grow lettuce this time of the year, but you can grow things like um, black eyed peas and okra and stuff like that, and mustard, kale. You can still grow that
Hmm.
stuff,
Yeah.
but it sure is hot though.
Yes, it is. It really is. Oh man. And I left yesterday without my water bottle because even though you're inside the car or whatever, you still need a water bottle. And I had to stop and get like some vitamin water from 7-Eleven. Just, like it's just too hot.
Yeah, I mean you need to take your electrolytes first thing in the morning,
Right.
and then suck off of that for the rest of the day. But last Monday, it was just so hot. My wife made me lunch, and I ate that. And I walk outside, and you might as well be in front of an oven. It was just so hot, and I just turned around on my heel and went right back inside. This is I don't need to be out here.
I tell you, last week, Monday, we were in Philadelphia, okay? And
Yeah,
it was, I don't know if it was that day or one of the other days because we were staying with my husband's brother. And the temperature got up to 103 in
yeah.
Philadelphia. I mean, literally, not the heat index type
Wow,
stuff, the literal
that's hot.
temperature. Yeah, it was
That's
103, 101. Yeah. It was like,
and I'm
what? Yeah.
and I'm in greenhouses all
Uh-huh.
day,
Oh gosh. Oh
and
yeah.
they even with coolers, uh, water coolers that are made for greenhouses, it still went up to 106.
Wow.
And of
Oh
course,
yeah.
it's humid. You know,
Mhm.
it's a good way to lose weight.
If only. If only. Nothing seems to be working for me these days. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But I did want to ask, I wanted to go back to something with regards to like washing your vegetables and stuff. Now,
Yeah,
they have certain things, I guess, that they have out to wash your fruit and vegetables. Are those
yeah.
the things? Okay, I knew I needed to ask you. So tell me, what is it? Do we need to have those particular types of things to wash our fruit and vegetables, or are we relying upon good old soap and water?
I really think you need to um, wash fruits and vegetables um, that are not in bags in the store and could have been handled by a, a patron just like yourself.
Hmm.
You don't know what, you know, I mean, not to be disgusting, but they could have just sneezed or coughed or who else and then picked up a peach or an apple or something. So I'm a firm believer in washing your fruits and vegetables, but not so much for parasites. We are so fortunate to have the USDA, and those guys are tenacious, absolutely tenacious about making sure our food, um, whether it be from this country or from other countries, is safe to eat. Um, you know, they have those commercials on TV where in black light you can see all this stuff on the apples and so on.
Right.
But do you know what that is?
What's that?
It's wax. It's wax,
What?
wax. It's a wax that's derived from a wax palm, and it's just a palm tree, and it just so happens that the fronds, the leaves of these palm trees, produce a cuticle or a wax. So there are tens of thousands of acres um, that are growing these palm trees, and then they harvest the palm frond, and then they boil it. And when they boil it, the wax comes to the top, and they harvest the wax, and then they spray the fruits and vegetables with that to
Oh, wow.
prevent them from to prevent desiccation. So it just prevents the vegetables from losing their moisture. So it's perfectly and absolutely safe. When you see this white cuticle underneath the black light, oh, I'm going to die. They sprayed some harmful chemical. It's just like people say the same thing about Roundup, how bad it is. You know, you have to be an informed consumer.
Yes, you do.
You just can't sit back in your chair and listen to those god awful news reports on TV, or you'll never leave your house.
This is true. This is so
So
true.
don't worry about the wax. It's from a palm tree, and it's purely organic, not a problem. So save your
Okay.
money.
Good
Because
to
I think it
know.
was like $29 for two bottles. That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. That is kind of
Yeah, save
crazy.
your money. Buy
Okay.
plants instead.
Okay. All right. All
Yeah,
right, bro.
go to Lucas and buy some plants.
Go to Lucas, buy some plants. Definitely. Yeah. So, yeah, in fact, I got to go to Lucas on the 22nd. I was supposed to go earlier this month, but I'm going on the 22nd. The Georgia peach truck is going to be there, and I won some peaches.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah. So,
You're gonna start growing your own.
I have a peach tree. It's
Yeah,
struggling, but I have one.
yeah.
It looks a little puny. What do I need to
Why is
do?
it? Why is it tiny and puny?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Oh, okay. So you need to use a 666 or a 10-10-10 fertilizer with
Right.
minor elements, and you do that 4 or 5 times a year.
Okay.
And then you water that in, and then you put mulch on top. Now,
Oh, okay.
you and I have talked about this. I use oak leaves,
Right.
and in the springtime when the oak trees lose all their leaves, I go around and pick up leaves off the curb, and then take them home, and I use that as my mulch. I use that as mulch, and I use it as a soil benefit. So I rototill those leaves under to increase the organic matter. So you fertilize 4 or 5 times a year with the complete fertilizer, including minor elements, um, and uh, make sure that the tree doesn't get any taller than 8 feet, because if they go any higher, you won't be able to pick them. You know,
Okay. All right.
and just make sure that the soil stays moist. You water it really really well, and then I water mine in my mine's in my vegetable garden, and
Hmm.
I water those peach trees probably twice a week, and
Okay.
especially in this weather. I added the fertilizer about a week ago. Then I water that in, and I'll just without any rain, I water it about every 3 days, and that's generally enough.
Okay. I have a question about when you plant stuff or these trees or newly planted things that and my husband saw something or we heard something about you should not like you see where they do these mounds around the base of the tree. And we were listening to something one day that said you shouldn't do like a raised mound around the bottom of the tree.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
we call that mulch volcanoes.
Okay.
They look like a volcano, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Um,
Okay.
there's there's some controversy about it, because people say that if you pile um, mulch up or soil around the base of the tree, um, that it offers a habitat for harmful insects and pathogens. And
Hmm.
to some extent, that's true. Um, if you look at a tree, you go outside, you look at a tree, and look at the very base, you will see a tree that doesn't go straight into the ground. It just a little bit above the ground, it starts to flare out, right? You never
Okay.
see that? Kind of flares out at the bottom. You
Hmm.
need to see that, you need to have that flare.
Okay.
If you don't have that, and the tree looks like it's just straight like a column going into the soil, then you need to pull that stuff back.
Okay.
You need to see that tree flare. Um, when I worked for the city, um, some of our communities weren't doing very well, and we had been taking care of these things for you know 50 years, and some of them just didn't look very well. And we got a new horticulture manager, And she looked at our camellias and said, "Well, that's your problem right there." "What's that?" "Well, your camellias don't have any root flare. That,
Mm.
but because we added mulch every year, and after a while it didn't decay as much as it should have. And again, that trunk of that camellia went straight into the ground.
Okay.
So it's a difficult thing to do, but we took rakes, good stiff garden rakes, not leaf rakes, but garden rakes, and we
Okay.
pulled all that mulch back around the bottom of that tree until we could see the flare. And then from that point, we pulled the mulch back even more. So the problem was the roots weren't getting any oxygen. You know,
Right.
the plants breathe just like you and I, and they were getting choked. So
Yeah.
we pulled that mulch back, and I can tell you within 6 months, those camellias turned around and they looked gorgeous. So you can imagine how difficult a chore it was to pull the mulch back on 500 or 600 camellias that we have. But
Hmm.
it was just like magic. We pulled all that mulch back to the drip liner, to the very tip of where the branches were, and it was an immediate response. And I'd never seen anything like it. So, no, I do not recommend mulch volcanoes. You've got to
Okay.
get rid of that until you see that flare uh, as it goes into the ground, and that way you know you're doing the right thing. But there is such a thing as too much loving care.
Right. Right. I I think that happened. Remember I told you about my father's lily that we had and for years it didn't do anything? And I
Yeah.
think part of the reason was it's in an area where the oak leaves fall. It's this garden area in front of the house that they, have when they build the house. But anyway, the leaves from the oak tree fall into them. We kind of just left it, and I started pulling back the leaves a little bit because I was telling my husband the same with something. I think our crepe myrtle, because it seemed to be slow to bloom this year. And I told him, I said, it's the ground. Well, to me, I was telling him the ground is not getting enough sun. It needs to get some warmth down in there a little bit. So, I mean, but you're talking about the oxygen, so it might be that.
Plants need to breathe,
Yeah.
and plants only need an inch or two of mulch. Um, I have a tendency to put on, because the leaves are so plentiful. Sometimes I'll get carried away, and I put them on, 3 or 4 inches thick. And
Hmm.
one, number one, they're not getting enough water because the
Right.
water isn't getting to the dirt. They're not getting any nutrients because all the fertilizer on top of the leaves, and it's not getting down to the ground. So when we um, go ahead and fertilize our camellias and azaleas, I pull the soil back and then fertilize, or pull the mulch back, fertilize, and then put the mulch back in its place.
So that brings me to my next question, because my next question was, because of the way our soil is with the water that just tends to kind of run off or whatever, should you do like a moat?
Only only when you first plant it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Now just water, and what I recommend is that you water deep, but
Mm-hmm.
you water infrequently. You don't water it a lot. You water
Okay.
it occasionally, but when you water it deep. The
Mm-hmm.
roots the roots are going to go where the fertilizer and where the water is. And if you go ahead and just water a little bit every day or every other day, the roots are going to stay close to the top because that's where their food is.
Ah,
and where the water is. So you need to water seldom, but when you water, you need to water it very deep. Now,
okay.
you and I have talked about this.
Mhm.
Everybody has what I call an indicator plant in their yard. And what I mean by that is that there is always one plant that goes droopy before any other plant in your yard. Can you think of one in your yard?
Don't ask me right now. Everything's kind of droopy right at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
Mm.
So, you go ahead and water or after a nice rain,
Mhm.
watch watch your garden, watch your plants, and
Mhm.
there's going to be a plant. It could be a perennial, it could be a shrub, it could be a tree, but one of them is going to get droopy before anything else. That is your indicator plant. So when your indicator plant starts to get a little droopy, then you water. And you don't just go out there with the hose with your finger over the end and give it a little bit of water.
Mhm.
You water for a long time so that water goes nice and deep into the soil, and that is where your roots are going to go. So in this weather, if the roots are close to the top of the soil, you're going to burn the roots up because it's
Ooh.
too hot for them. So water deep, water seldom by looking at your indicator plant. And, wilting in itself is not a bad thing. It's not going to hurt the plant to get a little wilty. So
Mhm.
if you see your plant, that one plant starts to get a little droopy, that's when you want to water the rest of your garden and your turf nice and deep. You might even want to water for an hour or so and then wait for that water to soak in and then water a second time.
Okay.
So
Now,
that way the water doesn't run off.
well, let me tell you one of my issues is that okay, our lawn or whatever for lack of a better word, um
Yeah,
our yard sits a little higher up than my neighbor's yard. So I have the peach tree and I have the fig and planted the magnolia and then we have the uh, hybrid that my husband got from Lucas. And okay, so all of those are in the front where and my yard slopes down. So like when I water,
yeah.
it tends to run down into the neighbor's yard. And I'm trying to figure out how I can keep it because one of the things I'm trying to do too, I'm planting some stuff to try to keep my yard from eroding to death. But the
Yeah,
other thing is need to be able to figure out a way to keep the water in my own yard.
yeah.
What do I do?
Oh boy, that's a tough question without actually seeing your yard.
Okay, I'll have to
Um,
send you a picture.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Um, do you use that lawn? Do you use that for entertaining it's just pretty?
No, I'm trying to I'm trying to plant I'm trying to do pretty, but I'm also trying to do more edibles. That's why I planted I think I told you a couple years ago I got in a fig and then we got a free peach tree and then my husband bought the hybrid citrus from Lucas and then the magnolia tree we just got from the free tree giveaway with the county. So I'll have to send you some pictures from all angles to show you. Because if you stand in my neighbor's yard, you're actually almost looking up to my yard. And then I'm trying to plant a hedge
Yeah,
too with some roses. I mean, and I need to get some more roses and stuff like that. But it's a work in progress. But yeah, and a lot of trial and error. But Yeah, that's part of my problem is by the time I've watered for a good little while, some of it has just rolled right into my neighbor's yard or onto the sidewalk or onto their driveway or onto the street, so
The good news is you're thinking about it, and that's important because you don't want to waste any water. So
no.
um, yeah, and you want to plant plants that have good fibrous root systems. Uh, trees aren't going to help you
Mhm.
because they're those roots go deep into the ground and they're not going to. But you're looking for something like azaleas and where the roots are fairly close to the surface and
Mhm.
they will slow the water down. You could also terrace your yard so you could as it starts to slope you could put a, a wall of pressure treated wood or my dad used to use railroad ties and lay that and then take the soil up to that and then let the water flow over that and then do it in steps. uh, that's a that is a major project, but long term that might be what you have to do.
Okay. All
But
right.
use plants that have a good fibrous root system to slow that water down. uh,
Okay.
I I had a little bit I had a little bit of perennial peanut that was planted near my house, and it escaped into my lawn. And uh, after a number of years, uh, it has just about taken over my entire front lawn.
Oh no.
And my front lawn is 150 by 150, and it is the prettiest thing you have ever seen.
Okay.
The perennial peanut is dark green, almost
Okay.
black. All right,
All
and then
right.
it has these beautiful yellow flowers on it. And as you drive by, what looks like a lawn is actually perennial peanut.
Uh-huh.
And I'm and I do everything I can to encourage that perennial peanut to grow because it doesn't require any fertilizer. It doesn't get any diseases, and it is the most drought resistant plant I know of.
Oh, I need some of that
Um,
really bad.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, it escaped out of a bed that was there when we moved into the house, and it's just slowly taken over the whole front yard. Uh, Now in the backyard, uh, I have 2 acres, and in back, right behind the house, my wife liked this ground cover. Well, I'd say a hanging basket called chenille plant,
Uh-huh.
and it's got long, fluffy, uh, red flowers, and most people grow it as a hanging basket. It's really quite pretty, easy to
Okay.
grow, very drought tolerant. Well, it escaped, and now it has taken over my lawn in the back of
Oh
the
wow.
house, and it has red flowers. I mow it about every 2 months to get rid of the what I call the weeds, other than that chenille plant, and it's incredible. Again, I never fertilize it. Grows in the sun, grows in the shade. It doesn't require any water. It's somebody. I guess somebody's watching out for me because it looks great.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Wow. Well, we're going to take a break. We've kind of blown past the first one, but that's fine. We are here with Robert Bowden. It is Thursday in the garden on G's Power Hour. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to join us. G's Power Hour on Never Had It So Good Gospel and Entertainment. We'll be right back. Well, good morning and welcome back to G's Power Hour on Never Had It So Good Gospel and Entertainment. I'm your host, G. Thanks so much for being with us. We are in the garden this morning with Robert Bowden. And if you have questions or comments, please feel free to join us. In the meantime, Robert, you were mentioning about hanging plants, and I was going to ask you, are there any particular type of vegetables that you can grow in a hanging basket?
Herbs, especially, um, they herbs do especially well in hanging baskets because they get air circulation. Um,
Okay.
as an example, um, I we all try to grow thyme, T
Yeah,
TYME, thyme,
try them in,
and
yeah.
and it just doesn't like it in the summertime here. It's just too hot for it.
Hmm.
So people try and it dies, and then they plant it again in the fall. Well, realistically, thyme is a fall, winter, spring plant. It's just god awful hot for it. But if you put that into a hanging basket or put that in a pot um, that is above the ground, so you've got a 20-inch clay pot and you fill it with soil and you put the plants in there, those plants are going to be 12 to 14 inches above the ground, and you get a lot of air circulation through there. And thyme, as well as oregano and mint and other things, will perform much, much better if they get that air circulation. So herbs do really, really well in hanging baskets. Uh, so that's one thing to think about. Uh, there is um, there are varieties of of dwarf tomatoes that will grow. Like Tiny Tim is a dwarf cherry tomato. Only grows about 12 to 14 inches tall, but it works really well in a hanging basket. Um, I'm trying to think of any of your dwarf vegetables. So if you go online and just simply type in dwarf vegetable seeds, there will be a litany of examples of uh, vegetables and herbs that will grow well in hanging baskets or in containers. There's so many people that can't afford homes anymore because it's just so expensive. So they're living in apartments and they still want to garden. And
Yeah.
so people are growing in these containers and they do extremely well, um, provided that you feed them on a regular basis and you keep them watered and you give them lots and lots of full sun. And that's probably the most important part of that whole equation. Uh, you have to have is a lot of sun. If you only have 4 hours of sun, or if your patio or your terrace faces north and it's in the shade,
Uh-huh.
uh, you're not going to be able to grow food. It's just not going to work. Uh, and people always say, well, how? And my wife will send me articles. People write online these stories about here are here are 24 different vegetables and herbs that will grow in the shade. They won't grow. So save your money. They just simply won't grow. My
Oh,
daughter
goodness.
just left in an apartment, and she had a screened porch, and it faced. She was on the north side of the building. She got no sun whatsoever, ever,
Oh,
ever,
wow.
ever. So she grew a potato. She had a potato that she found in the kitchen, and she planted it. It started to grow. Well, I know it's anthropomorphic, but the the potato was looking and seeking sunlight. So she had a potato plant that was 4 to 5 feet long, looking for sunlight, couldn't find it. She was so disappointed.
Ah,
What do I do? How can I make? What's wrong with my potato? What can I do? I said, you can't grow potatoes. And then because this plant was trying so hard to grow, uh, it got pests, it got diseases.
oh
Uh,
no.
yeah, because the plant was under stress, and that's the or those bugs. We don't give bugs enough credit, but they're pretty smart. As soon as they find a plant that's under stress, that's where they just make a home.
Oh no.
So there's aphids and scale and all sorts of nasty things, mealybugs, and the plant is suffering because it simply can't grow without sunlight. And she was so disappointed. What can I do to make them feel better? Um, throw it out. Throw it out. Don't try to
Wow.
grow it. It's just not going to grow. So now, if you have a patio or a terrace that faces south, well, now you're cooking because now you can really grow stuff. But you've got to have that sun, or um, you look for house plants indoors that don't require a lot of.
So what about lamps? Can you use any type of sun lamp or anything?
I love those ads in magazines where they they have this little thing that's about 24 inches long and about 12 inches deep, and that thing is chock full of parsley and thyme and all sorts of other herbs, and it's just stacked in there, and only because there is a single grow light above it. Uh, don't buy into that.
Okay.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You may get some sorry looking parsley. You may grow little tidbits of herbs, but they don't work. They really, really don't work. So save
Mm,
your money. They're not cheap. They're not cheap.
no.
With a single grow light bulb can cost you $20. A single bulb, and that may last you a year or less. So, what we recommend, people live in apartments or they have a small home with not too much property, and they're trying to grow food. Um, Look to the owner, the manager, or whoever's renting you the house, and
Mm,
ask them if you could create a community garden.
yep. I was just thinking that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're so right.
yeah. Um, and I talk to apartment owners and managers all the time, and they call me. What can I do? Where everyone that's renting wants to grow food, but somewhere on the property where all those apartments are, there's going to be a space where you can put in a community garden for the people that live there. And I try to talk to the managers use that as a sales point uh, to encourage people to uh, rent their apartment and not the neighbor next door, because that's a really great way to show your renters that you really care about them, and we want to make it a nice place to live. We oh, by the way, we have a community garden, and you can have a plot, and instead of growing on your patio, uh, you can put in raised beds, and you can grow your vegetables on the property, and then it's a great way to learn about your neighbors. And uh, we did one. The very first one we did in Orlando was at Paramore Garden, and
Right.
and um, when we started talking to the neighbors, they thought it was a great idea, and so we created that garden. And uh, quarterly, quarterly we have a smorgasbord, a potluck, and everybody brings in food that is a result of their vegetables that they grow in the garden. And one of the reasons we suggested Paramore is because it's adjacent to a federal housing project. And as I was walking through the parking area and listening and talking to the people there, they really wanted to be able to grow their food because the country I came from, we used to grow this, we used to grow that. So when we have these quarterly smorgasbords, these nighttime dinners, they all bring dishes that are made from the vegetables that they grow in the garden, but they also uh, highlight food that is common in their country. So not only do you get uh, an opportunity to talk to people from different cultures, but you also get to uh, try and learn about different foods from different cultures, and it works like a charm. It's the most amazing thing to see that come together. And that's one of my proudest moments is to be able to get that one off the ground. Hello?
Like that. I think we're gonna have to do more of that. You know, especially with the
Yeah,
back and yeah, we're gonna have to do more of that, especially with the back and forth in terms of tariffs on imports, and all of that. We're gonna have to do a lot more and also with the gas prices going up and having food transported in, we're gonna have to do more of the growing of our own stuff. You know, and
and
I hate
and
that
this
we've gotten away from that so much.
and it's for a lot of reasons. Uh, I buy organic seed, or I use organic matter in the garden, natural stuff that I can buy or I can get from my garden. I know how those vegetables have been treated. Are they sprayed with anything bad? No. I took care of them. I know what they're sprayed with. I know what they're fertilized with. Uh, I want the children in my family to be aware of how things grow, about nature. I want them to learn not only tomatoes and squash, but uh, as I said before, food from other cultures. You know,
Right.
t- coriander and oh, what's the tall? Oh shoot. Anyway, it's the most consumed herb on this planet. Um,
Really?
and
Are
yeah,
you're
it's
not saved?
no, it's coriander is the seed, and
Cilantro?
cilantro. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
cilantro. You combine cilantro with coriander. Coriander is the seed of, and you can take coriander seed from the grocery store. It's in the herb aisle, and you can plant that,
I
and
had
it
no idea.
grows. Yeah. Same thing with beans. You go to the soup aisle, and you see bags of frijoles negros, and you see kidney beans, and all these other, black-eyed peas. You can plant those. You don't need to buy little packages of seeds for $5. You can buy a package of several thousand seeds uh, in the soup aisle and get the same kind of beans that you're going to get in the seed packet. So the reason, and you also you know what you know what those plants have been sprayed with, if at all.
Hmm.
Um, and I live in a nice area up in Longwood, but I know there are older people living there who might not be financially stable. And periodically, I gather vegetables up and I share them with some of the people in my neighborhood that I know might not have enough food, or um, they don't get to the store as often as they would like. So there's all kinds of great reasons to growing your own food.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, the good thing about it too, it can be a family affair. It doesn't have to be just one person. This is a good way to get kids interested. Kids have science projects. This would be a good way for them to practice for their science projects and stuff like that. It's a, just a,
You're
you know.
right. I remember harvesting vegetables uh, early in the morning with my mom. We would wake up, we'd have breakfast, and then she would take her wicker basket and we'd go out and harvest squash and peppers and tomatoes, uh, beans, pole beans, bush beans, and that was a real special time. I can remember like it was yesterday. She's been gone for 20 years now, but I still remember that time
Hmm.
with my
Yeah.
mom and my dad when I was growing up.
Yeah, kids remember a lot of those things that you do with them, and it's not necessarily about what you buy them or whatever, but just life experiences and stuff.
Right.
And so they may not continue to do the same things, but then they'll think about it later, especially when they have their own kids, and they're like, I remember when, and they may start to do it with their own kids.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a it's a great opportunity to get to know your family a little better,
Mhm.
and it's another good way to have children understand nutrition.
Yeah,
You know, you don't go you don't go to the store and buy prepackaged Stouffer's freezer meals and consider that to be nutrition. You grow peaches, you grow celery, you grow beans, and that's how you learn about how to grow your own food and how to eat properly, um, and to eat seasonally.
yeah.
You don't. Yeah. Now I say that knowing full well that I eat raspberries every day, and I know raspberries, are, and I know they're not there every day out growing outside. But if that's my only vice, I think I'm in pretty good shape.
But people can also learn how to create their own recipes, you know? You know, you can follow the recipes in the different books and stuff, but you can create your own. We're like, okay, we want to do something a little bit different. Maybe we add this particular herb, or
Yeah.
we use this particular vegetable or whatever. I'm working right now on creating well, I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm looking at doing some different stuff with some melons and avocados and stuff like that, just to be able to have something fun and different and delicious in the house, and eat more healthily, you know?
And it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. There are one. There. I mean, we have the internet now, and there's so many fun things you can grow, and uh, and put into recipes. Um, and I really try to find those recipes that sound good to eat, but maybe not something I've ever made before, or came from, when I work with people who come from different cultures, and they talk about growing this and then using this to make a pie, or use this to make, part of the supper. It's a great way to learn about people too.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is too, I'm going back to the kids. If you teach them how to eat healthily now, then they won't have to change, lifestyle. Like right now, I'm having a big battle with my cholesterol. And it's interesting that my parents didn't have that battle with cholesterol, but I do. And now I'm like working my butt off trying to figure out, okay, what's going on? Why is it going up? What can I do to get it down? And because I really don't want to be on medication. So I'm looking at how can I make the lifestyle changes, and why didn't, and then I'm kicking myself because I'm like, why didn't I make the lifestyle changes before now? You
And I think uh, the operative word there is change.
Yeah,
If you were taught or in your house that you use mostly vegetables and very little meat and carbohydrates, and you don't have to change that. It becomes part of who you are, and it's a lot easier to make little changes if things come up. But it isn't an overwhelming issue of, gosh, I have to change my entire lifestyle because because of the issues that I have. Start them out young and have them eat good stuff. Then you don't have to change. Just keep doing what you're doing.
well, I think what part of what happened is that I got sucked up into our fast food society because I didn't start out that way. I mean, I was one of those kids. I came home, you know, in the afternoon, and I made a salad to snack on, in
Yeah,
the afternoon. So yeah, I was a weird kid. But and I go back to salads now, and my mom cooked and made vegetables. And I think that is part of the issue right now is a lot of what we're eating is not necessarily what's being cooked at home. We're doing this grab and go stuff, and I'm also trying to figure out, okay, with my schedule, and I'll be back to a fuller schedule in a few weeks. How do I, you know, maintain healthy eating, but do it in a way that I can kind of, take it with me, make it more portable. Those are things that I'm looking at. So,
I hear you. And unfortunately, when I grew up, my parents grew. We didn't have a lot of money, and they
yeah,
grew their own vegetables. And we had friends who had farms, and we were able to get stuff that way. Uh, but when I got married, I made the change from fresh fruits and vegetables to processed foods because number one, my wife didn't know how to cook, and two, uh, we were working two or three jobs to pay the bills, so we just didn't have time to
yeah,
do, the right thing. And
right,
so uh, now that I have bad cholesterol and I've got heart issues and stuff, I have to make I have to make the change. And wouldn't it be a lot easier if I had done it all along? It wouldn't be nearly as difficult to do if I had done it all along.
yeah. I'm trying to rein it in, and that's why I'm growing more edible stuff, and trying to do more of that, and just watch how I cook stuff and everything, and yeah, I'm doing more. Well, I do a lot of cooking anyway because I have to, but then again, with the schedule I have during most of the year. Because part of what I'm trying to do is eat earlier. My thing is I'm trying to eat by 7 o'clock. Well, my problem is during the main part of the year, I don't get off of work until 6. Okay, so it's kind of hard to cook and eat by 7 if you're just getting off of work at 6. So I'm having to do some of what my mom taught me back when I was in my 20s, and that is taking some time to cook on maybe the weekends or when I have the spare time, and then package it up so that I can nuke it. I hate it for lack of a better, well, there's better words, but anyway. So, but I can heat it up, and because at the time we didn't even have microwaves. At that time, I had to heat that stuff up in the oven. but it was a way of managing my schedule and still being able to eat a wholesome meal, you know. So I guess I'm
Well,
just
I
gonna.
could, I've been retired now for 2 or 3 years, and I've gotten into the habit now of having a nice full breakfast. So my wife will, and because of cholesterol and other issues, she makes me a lot. I may eat 3 or 4 different kinds of fruit for breakfast in addition to a cereal or something. And then, not so much when I'm at work, but when I'm at home, I'll continue to work until, oh gosh, maybe 3 o'clock or so. I'll totally skip lunch.
Mm.
And I'll skip lunch. Then at 3 o'clock, I'll go in and get myself cleaned up. And then she'll have dinner by 5:30 or 6 o'clock. I don't miss 3 meals a day. I have 2 meals a day, and what I do eat is lots of fruits and vegetables. Not the biggest piece of meat that I'll eat is about the size of a pack of cigarettes. It's not very big, but it's
Right.
enough to get my protein. But I've discovered that not having that third meal during the day, reduce it to two, and eat good stuff on those 2 meals. Uh, just in a year's time, working uh, in the greenhouses um, and working at home in the yard, I don't miss that third meal, and I've dropped 15 pounds.
Oh, well, good for you.
Yeah,
Good for you. All right. Yeah. I'm trying. Like for example, one of the things that I did recently was as much as I hate plain Greek yogurt, I got some plain Greek yogurt, and what I've done is I bought some of those. I'm trying not to use a lot of plastic anymore, so we've got some glass containers and with the lids, and I put some yogurt in there with a few of those containers with some pistachios because I understand the pistachios are a little healthier. Um, and I've thrown in some dark chocolate chips, and I also put in some dried cranberries and put them away. So like today I was kind of behind on my schedule or whatever. Came in from the gym, and then when I came in, I got one of the containers that I had already made. So it was already done, ready to go, and it had my Greek yogurt and actually with the pistachios and the chocolate chips and the dried cranberries in it, it really wasn't that bad, you know. I, so yeah, I'm trying to do more of that type of stuff.
when I make pesto to use on some pasta that I make from scratch,
Oh wow, you're
um,
good.
I use I use other things than what they recommend in the recipes or what I've used in the past. So when I make pesto, I'll go out and I'll gather basil, and then I'll use pine nuts. Well, who on this planet can afford pine nuts?
I was gonna say,
I
where do you
mean,
find pine nuts?
yeah, you got to take out a second mortgage to to buy pine nuts. They're awful. So what do you use instead? Use pistachio.
Ah,
You
oh,
see, they're green, so it's not going to
yeah,
mean anything.
yeah.
And instead of using basil, I use carrot
Oh wow. Re-
carrot tops and parsley. So instead of parsley, I'll use carrot tops. And let me tell you something. You can't tell the difference. And the carrot tops are far better for you than parsley and basil. Yeah, you're going to use a little bit of basil, obviously, but instead of the parsley, which is difficult to grow in the summertime, I use carrot tops. So I'll eat the roots regular carrots, but I'll save the tops and chop that up nice and fine, and it tastes exactly the same. You won't be able to tell the difference, and it's much better for you. It's a lot of vitamin K in it.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to talk more with Robert Bowden. We're in the garden. This is G's Power Hour. I never had it so good, gospel and entertainment. And we will be right back. Well, good afternoon and welcome back to G's Power Hour on Never Had It So Good Gospel and Entertainment. I am your host, G. Thanks so much for being with us today. We are in the garden with Robert Bowden, talking a little bit more today about things we can do in terms of growing stuff in our garden so that we can take better care of our health. We kind of lean that way, but I mean that is kind of the main reason you want to do that. I mean, some people do it just because they like being outdoors and getting their hands dirty and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how in this heat, but still. But the ultimate goal is to make sure that we have the good fruit and vegetables that are going to keep us strong and healthy and keep us as disease free as possible as we progress through our lives. Um, so what are we doing now, Robert, in the garden these days?
Trying to stay in the shade.
Okay, so that means we're doing that solarizing thing.
I walked out after lunch the other day, and walked out of the house after lunch, and I just turned on my heels and went right back in the house. It was
Yeah,
just so hot that I knew that if I would go out there and try to work, I was just going to hurt myself.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
I try to be a good neighbor, and I don't mow the lawn before 9 o'clock in the morning or start noisy stuff. But it's just too gosh darn hot. That's all.
Yeah,
So on these really hot days, if it rains and there's no lightning, what do? You go outside and enjoy the rain.
yeah,
Uh, as long as there's not lightning,
right.
but I'll just go outside and I'll putter and I'll take my shoes off and I'll just do things out in the yard and enjoy the rain. Uh, Otherwise, uh, it's a good time to do the research
Yeah,
to help you create a better garden, whether it be a vegetable garden or a flower garden. Uh, there's lots of information online. Uh, there's the University of Florida has right plant, right place, uh, and you can start doing the research now and decide what vegetables and what varieties of vegetables uh, you should you should buy. Uh, we're not that far away. August 1st is a magical number in vegetable gardens in Central Florida because that's when you start your tomato seeds and your artichoke seeds.
Oh, really?
Uh, yep, yep. So you're gonna grow your vegetables from those two from seed. You sow them on August 1st, and what that means, of course, is you're going to be putting your tomatoes and your artichokes out probably uh, mid-September or even late September, and those plants will continue to produce food for you until the first frost, which is normally the first full moon in December. So you're going to be able to grow tomatoes and things like that um, until the first frost. So do a little research, find out which which tomatoes grow best. What if you've never grown artichokes before,
No, I have.
easy plant,
It,
easy plant to grow. Yep, yep. But it takes a long growing season, so you're gonna have to start and do the same thing with your Brussels sprouts. Plant those August 1st, so that you have enough time for those plants to grow.
okay. So I, I wanted to ask you about plants that you can't see growing. For example, carrots and other things that grow below the surface. How
Yep,
do you know? I mean, is this something that you have to put on a schedule, or is it something that you check relatively frequently? How do you know when those particular plants are ready to be harvested?
that's a really good question. Uh, I assume that you're going to be growing enough carrots and potatoes and turnips and things like that that
Hmm.
if you pull one up periodically, that's not going to be harmful to the total number of plants that you're growing. So you may have a 10-foot row of carrots, uh, a 10-foot row of turnips, or whatever, any of those root crops. If you know that if you do the research, or if you look at the book, my book on growing vegetables in Florida, it'll tell you in that book that you can pick carrots 65 days after you sow the seeds in the ground.
Okay.
So a little bit before that, maybe you want to check them. You can pull one carrot out and say, no, it's not quite big enough. Well, you can't put that carrot back in. All right, so don't do that. But if it's big enough to eat it, you can eat it. You can go ahead and harvest any time along before it's mature. Um, Potatoes are a good example. I plant the little tiny red, we call them red Irish potatoes.
Hmm.
Uh, those will get about the size of a tennis ball. But if you like, you can after they've been in the ground for 45 days or 60 days, you can kind of pull back a little bit of the dirt, and lo and behold, there's going to be little tiny potatoes in there. Well, you can harvest those. So things like carrots and potatoes and turnips and rutabaga and all those root crops, you can eat them along the way. You don't have to wait until the very end. You can be eating them along the way. And if it's not too big, then don't waste it. Put it in soup or put it in stew or something like that. But you can pull one or two out along the way. If it's not ready to go, it's not big enough, then maybe you wait 2 weeks and you pull another one out. So that's how it works. You're not gonna, you're not gonna get rid of all your.
Okay. So so just don't plant one carrot. Okay. You're gonna have to do better
Yeah.
than that. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
All
and
right.
if, in carrots, if you get that on your hands and knees, and look at the carrot, you'll see the green growth on top.
Right.
And if the carrot is ripe, you'll see the very top of the carrot itself coming up out of the ground. It'll be level or a little bit higher than the level of the ground, and that's a good way. We call that the shoulder of the carrot.
Mhm.
You can see the top of the carrot itself, and when you see that, then you can start harvesting them.
Okay.
And
All right. Good.
and do, like I said, do the research. Um, there there are, gosh, there are probably 100 varieties of carrots that you can. Uh,
Okay.
what kind of carrots do you like, and how are you going to use them? Uh, I I grow a series of carrots. It's called the Solar Series, and the names of them are like lunar white. There's actually white carrots,
Uh,
or solar yellow. Uh, I can't remember what the purple one is, but they come in four colors, and so it's really fun to use those on if you have friends over and you have a vegetable platter, to put these colorful vegetables on the platter. It's very attractive, and the other part is that they have the highest amount of lycopene than any carrot that's grown today. So if you want to grow vegetables for nutrition, that's great. And so you go buy these four different types of carrots, and it it's supposed to help your eyesight. So now's the time to do that research to see what plants you want to grow that are going to benefit you the most, both from nutrition point of view and also from a taste, uh, you know, how that works for.
so why is it that restaurants will only, let's say, serve you for the most part when you say you want a garden salad, and it's usually just the same few items, orange carrots, some tomatoes and some lettuce. Usually, if it's not iceberg, it's romaine or something like that. Uh, what instead of trying to dig more and use more of a variety of items, because then we get accustomed to using the same things over and over and over again.
Two reasons. One, they're lazy,
Okay.
and two, they just don't know about these other things that you can put in a salad. They just don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I grow probably 10 to 12 different kinds of lettuce in the fall, winter, spring. It's just a lot easier for a restaurant to buy uh, iceberg lettuce or leafy lettuce from a vendor that delivers it to your restaurant. There doesn't have to be any education there. You just use what everybody else is using. It's the restaurant that use unusual and nutritional and tasty vegetables that are going to succeed. And we see it every day. You go to a restaurant and they serve vegetables or herbs in unique ways. Those are the ones that are going to succeed.
Mm, okay. All right. So uh, you were talking about doing our homework. Does that include like the almanac? Do you keep an almanac on a regular basis?
The most important book that you will ever read, besides my vegetable book, of course, the best book you'll ever read is your garden log, your garden diary.
Uh-huh.
You
Okay.
you have to take notes. Because the older you get, number one, uh, the more you're going to forget.
Right.
And don't tell yourself that, oh, I'll remember. Believe me, you won't remember. There's
Right.
so I grow probably 30 different kinds of vegetables in my garden, spring, summer, or fall, winter, spring, and some work really well, and some are just dogs and they don't work at all. Whether I grew them wrong, or it could be the climate that we have here in Florida. But uh, the point being, uh, do the research and then try the different vegetables. If you've never grown before, then limit the number, the type of vegetables that you're going to grow that you'll be successful at. Something, and I get this question a lot. I've never gardened before. What can I grow the first time? Maybe I don't have a yard. Maybe I have one of those plastic farm daddies, and I want to grow some vegetables. I've never done it before. Well, you're going to grow beans, and you're going to grow lettuce. Uh, People are surprised when I give a talk at garden clubs or service organizations. I don't talk about tomatoes because tomatoes are really, really hard to grow. They get so many diseases that I usually put or recommend that people put tomatoes on the back burner until they get a little experience under their belt. Otherwise, it may die, or it's going to get disease, and then you're going to be disenchanted, and you're going to say, "I can't do it," and you give up. And grow the things that you will eat. There's there's nothing more disheartening to a gardener. In my case, um, I grew. I can't remember what it was. I grew something. Oh, it was a type of broccoli,
Uh,
and I was so proud, and I took pictures of it in the garden. In the garden, in the garden, I'm trying different varieties of vegetables, and uh, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. It's just that simple, and it's not anyone's fault. Just sometimes it doesn't.
you keep a flow chart or anything, or you just keep notes?
I take notes. I take notes. Now, there's also for your younger listeners, there's apps online, and you can type all the information into your apps, and that'll be fine too. But uh, you know, there's nothing more disheartening, as I said, when you grow a vegetable and you're real proud of it and it looks really good in your garden, but no one will eat. So
Yeah.
I grew the most beautiful broccoli, and it was gorgeous. I took a lot of pictures of it, uh, and when I took it in the house and made it for dinner, nobody ate. And so why did I go through all this work, all this effort, growing these plants, talking to it, watering it, and nobody's going to eat it? What a waste of time and money.
Wow.
So, yeah, start with those vegetables that are easy, and start the ones that they'll eat. And keep that log, keep a book, because when you get ready to order your seed for this fall, you can flip back through your notes and see that, you know, I should have started these tomato seeds 3 weeks earlier than I did, because I started them too late, and then they were almost ready to be harvested, and it got 20 degrees, and it killed everything.
Yeah.
So now you know that, oh, maybe I should plant in August instead of September. Likewise, uh, keep track of those varieties of plants that do well. I've gone as far as, uh, I plant seeds from a packet of seeds, spread them out, and they do so well. I tell myself I have got to grow these again because everybody in the family ate it. My wife loved to cook with it. They're easy to grow. They're easy to use in a recipe. I make not only do I make a note, but I'll actually take that empty seed pack and I'll staple it right to that page in my logbook. So
Mm.
as I'm getting ready to order seeds, I'll flip through the prior season. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot about that bean that everybody likes so much. I'm going to grow more of that. That's it's the most important book you'll ever.
Okay. Well, good to know, and I've got to start doing that because it's so funny you talk about tomatoes. Actually, tomatoes are the one thing that I've had least amount of problems with. I mean, I haven't tried to grow like the big beefsteak or whatever, but I've tried to grow like the cherry and grape tomatoes, and they seem to come along okay, but the heat got to everything, so everything.
I pulled all my plants out of my vegetable garden on Monday. I mean, the beans were gone, the cucumbers were gone, the cherry tomatoes were still cherry tomatoes, but it was so hot
Hmm.
that the tomatoes actually cooked
Yeah,
on the vine.
yeah,
They cooked on the vine. I couldn't,
yeah.
but now I know, you know, everyone said, "Oh, we love these little pear tomatoes, and we love these." I have tomatoes that are the size of a raisin.
Oh, wow.
Now you have to pick a lot of them, but I put those in salad. It's it's just a fun thing to.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do then. It's probably Saturday is, or maybe even tomorrow. I'll go out and just pull everything up and see what's what, and then just
Yeah,
prep everything for you know, probably until September or late August.
and let's not forget some of the tropical plants that you can grow here in Orlando. Uh, you can grow ginger
Oh,
in the ground here, and they do really well. I grow them in pots because the nematodes will get to them,
mm,
and then I grow turmeric in the garden. I have a huge plant of turmeric. I have avocado trees and peach trees, so this is the time to do your research. Go do the research and then go to a place like Lucas and buy peach trees or nectarines or plums that are suitable for growing in the hot weather in Orlando. Uh, they grow very, very well. So don't not grow them because you think it's too hot. Um, I had a bushel of peaches this year from 4 trees, and the family loved.
that sounds great. All right, so pull everything up and just get everything ready for the next season, and just and make sure and don't and no more um volcanoes around the base of your trees and plants.
That's
I
right.
would, yeah, I mean it looks good, but no, it's not working. So yeah, okay. Well, Robert, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time today, and look forward to having you back next month. Thank you very, very much. You take care.
I look I look forward to talking to
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. I always looking for it. We always loved having you on. So take care. Yeah,
you.
right.
Okay, have a
You
bye.
too. Bye bye. And thank you all for listening. This has been G's Power Hour on Never Had It So Good Gospel and Entertainment. I'm your host, G. Please, 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 please stay hydrated. Remember to take a bottle of water with you, even if you're just going to be in the car or an air conditioner. It doesn't take much to dehydrated. So please do that. And also, if you don't have a hat, maybe you want to consider wearing a hat. I haven't done that much. But I think I'm gonna put on a hat today. But anyway, be well, be safe, be blessed, hug a loved one, and please remember all real power comes from God. Talk